українці, ці люди прийшли на нашу землю, щоб ми з вами ніколи не святкували Дня Незалежності. І розраховували на те, що переможуть нас за 3 дні. Але зараз вони тут стоять перед вами на колінах. А ми з вами святкуємо цей день. Тому що ми є сильна нація, яка готова вмерти за свою незалежність.
Poland handed over 5,000 Starlinks to Ukraine, said the head of the Ministry of Statistics Mikhailo Fedorov. As a sign of revenge against the Russians for 1968, the Czechs donated 24 million crowns, almost $1 million, to Ukraine, Aktuum. Serbia will stop importing Russian oil from November, Telegraph with reference to Serbian President Vučić. Estonia will push for a full energy embargo against the Russian Federation in the new EU sanctions package. Also, according to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Estonia will propose to include in the package new groups of goods, the final disconnection of Russian banks from SWIFT and ban Russians from entering the EU. The German Ministry of Defense rejected calls to provide Ukraine with more weapons, Deutsche Welle. An official representative of the German Ministry of Defense said on Monday that the department rejected the proposal of Bundestag members from the ruling coalition to supply Ukraine with more weapons. President of Poland Andrzej Duda arrived in Kyiv. Friendly Poland unceasingly continues to support Ukraine on the way to our victory. Duda will also take part in the Crimean Platform online summit. An explosion was reported in the building of the Ministry of Internal Affairs of the DPR in Donetsk. Unfortunately, Pushilin was not injured. Canada imposes sanctions against 62 individuals and 1 defense sector, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Canada, together with its partners, will continue sanctions against 1,750 individuals and organizations in Russia and Belarus. We will announce new sanctions against 62 more individuals and 1 defense sector company involved in the war. Turkish President Erdogan said that according to international law, Crimea should be returned to Ukraine. Ankara does not recognize the annexation of Crimea and considers this step illegal.
Крим бо Україна. Крим – це Україна. Так як Гданськ чи Люблін є частиною Польщі, так Крим був, є і буде частиною України.
In a conversation with the French foreign minister, Lavrov confirmed Russia's consent to the IAEA mission at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. The ministers of foreign affairs of France and Russia Catherine Colonna and Sergei Lavrov held a telephone conversation on Tuesday, devoted primarily to the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant captured by the Russian occupiers. 33 ships with food left Ukraine through the grain corridor, Reuters. Also, another 18 ships are being loaded and are waiting for the exit queue. Norway and Great Britain will hand over $9 million worth of microdrones to Ukraine, the Ministry of Defense of Norway. The package includes Black Hornet systems with spare parts, transport and training. Biden approved the largest military aid package for Ukraine at $3 billion. Boris Johnson announced the provision of a new large package of military aid to Ukraine in the amount of $63.7 million, which will include 850 Black Hornet microdrones, the office of the head of the British government announced. Ukraine will become the second country in the world, after Singapore, to sign an agreement on digital trade with Britain. Statement of the Ministry of Digital Transformation. Ukrainians collected funds for Bayraktars for the armed forces. Here they are, with ethnic painting. Soon they will be in Ukraine. In the Dnipropetrovsk region, the Russian Federation launched a missile attack on the Chaplin railway station. 4 passenger cars are on fire. This is how Russia prepared for this meeting of the UN Security Council, Zelensky said. As a result of shelling of the residential sector and the railway station, 25 people died, 2 of them children. An 11-year-old boy died under the rubble of a house. Another 6-year-old died in a car fire near the railway station. 31 people were injured. On Ukraine's Independence Day, the Russian Federation raised planes 200 times, often simulating strikes, said Yuri Ignat, spokesman for the Air Force Command of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. The enemy mainly used Tu-22M3 long-range bombers, which carry the Kh-22 missile, for attacks on Ukraine. Numbers. On this map of Ukraine, shows the number of air alarms in cities on August 24. Spain has sent an anti-aircraft battery, ammunition and armored cars to Ukraine, El País with reference to the Ministry of Defense of Spain. The aid will include about 20 armored vehicles, 75 pallets of field artillery ammunition and a full anti-aircraft battery and 1,000 tons of diesel. Spain will also train the Ukrainian military in the operation of the anti-aircraft battery, as well as train the personnel of the Air Force of Ukraine. Energodar was completely left without electricity and water. The mayor of the city Dmytro Orlov confirms reports that as a result of enemy shelling, the city was on the verge of a humanitarian disaster. The U.S. intends to hold the Lukashenko regime accountable for supporting the invasion of Ukraine by the Russian Federation, the U.S. Embassy in Belarus. Putin signed a decree according to which the full-time number of servicemen of the Russian armed forces was increased to 1.15 million people, reports Rosny. This is 137,000 soldiers more than before. Russia has brought about 400 combat aircraft and 360 helicopters to the borders with Ukraine, of which more than 150 are attack aircraft. Yuri Ignat, a representative of the Air Force Command of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. What does the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine think about this? The Pentagon will give the operation in Ukraine a name and appoint a commanding general, WSJ and BBC. First of all, this is a formal recognition by Washington of the fact that the American Army participates in specific combat operations, even if its soldiers are not fighting on the side of an ally. The choice of the commander indicates the Pentagon's intention to create a permanent team to help Ukraine, that is, the transition to a long-term strategy that can last more than 1 year. Well, friends, that's all the news this week. We are closely watching what is happening. After all, who owns the information, owns the whole world. Subscribe to the channel. There will be a lot of news. See you soon.